To cast on double knitting, you have to cast on double the amount of stitches that you actually want to use. So for these rectangles, I'm casting on 40 and they turn out to be 20 on each side. So you have to do a double stitch count. And so for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna do 20, but I'm just doing a long tail cast on, just the regular long tail. So I've cast on my stitches just to kind of show you here, and I always tie my end in a little bow so I don't use that by accident. And the double knitting is so easy. You just knit your first stitch, and then you're gonna bring your yarn to the front and slip the next stitch purlwise, knit a stitch, slip one purlwise, knit a stitch, slip one purlwise, and the ones that you're slipping purlwise are making your stitches on the other side. This seems too simple to be true, but this is all it takes. And then since I have an even number of stitches, I'm just making a little swatch right now, but you want an even number for what I'm doing. And then you're gonna slip the last stitch purlwise, flip it over. Anything with a purl bump, I'm gonna still slip that purlwise, and I'm gonna knit my knit stitches again. So I'm gonna, again, start with a knit, slip one purlwise, and that's all it is, over and over until you get the size that you want. And then I'll show you on my other rectangle how to bind off, because that is a little different. But yeah, that's all it is for double knitting. You cannot see now really how it turns out, but I have one in progress on this needle. And so it's double thick. You can see it's just a little bit larger. And for this one, if I was to bind this off right now, you actually slide this to the other side so that your working yarn is at the back. And honestly, to bind off, you don't want to do it the normal way because this will flare out and get really big. You just slip the stitches to bind off and then you're done. So, and you slip them in the direction that they are. So this is a knit stitch, I'm going to slip it knitwise. And then this is a purl, I'm going to slip it purlwise. And then I'm going to slip this over the top to bind off. There's a knit stitch knitwise, slip this over to bind off. There's a purl stitch purlwise, slip this over to bind off, and I just do that all the way across. I'm not going to do it right now because I'm still knitting this one, so I'm going to put them all back, but that is how you bind off. And then just the end is normal. You just have one loop left and you put your tail through. Now to seam the rectangles onto the sweater, I'm using stitch markers to kind of place the rectangles, and I'm going to be matching up V to V, legs to legs from the sweater to the rectangle and seaming it that way. So kind of back and forth, zigzag, and that will hide the edge and kind of fold it under when it's done. If you're like me and need a little help remembering which row you're on, you might want to insert a guideline like I'm doing here. I'm just using a contrasting yarn, and this is actually a linen yarn, so it slides really easily, and I'm picking up one leg of each stitch in the row above the row that I'm going to be working on. So when I seam my rectangle, it's perfectly straight. I had a couple of mishaps where I did not do this step, and then my rectangle was crooked and I was sad. So it's worth the little extra minute to put this in, and then your rectangles will be straight. So now, working right to left because I'm a right-handed person, I am picking up the first V on the right side of the rectangle and going up and picking up the first V above it on the sweater right below my guideline, and then seaming those together. Now I just alternate picking up a V from the rectangle and then a V from the sweater right above it, all the way across until I reach the last V on the rectangle. And this is how it looks when you're done. Now we can pull out our guideline and use it again on another rectangle, and then we're going to grab the strands on each side that we were seaming with and give them a little tug, and that really pulls the stitches together in a nice way so everything lines up and the join looks really nice and smooth. And that's it. You just use your darning needle to thread on each tail and bring them into the inside of the sweater, and then fasten them off and secure the ends, and then move on to your next rectangle. Hope this tutorial helped, and hope you're having fun knitting your own sweater. Please leave me any questions in the comments below, and thanks for watching.